It's Friday, April 26th, Saturday, April 27th. If you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you have a great week and a great start to your weekend. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, currently under construction thanks to you, because we are building it bigger and better for you, so stay tuned. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses, so make sure you head to YouTube and check it on out. The final Friday of the month, we bring in the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, where I bring in some friends to hang out and discuss the month that was in the weird and strange. From UFOs in the United States Navy to finding Bigfoot in the forest, we're getting into it all tonight. Joining the panel are regulars Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio and Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, scientist and UFO researcher William Pullin from down in Texas, and from Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips. Gentlemen, welcome to this month's edition of the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. Glad to have you with us. And we're going to start off with a topic here that just broke this week. And William, I'm going to get your position on this right off the bat because you're the one with the power goatee here tonight. Anyways. Yeah, that's the way we roll around here. The rest of the guys, Rich, you never know if he's shaved or not. Cooper and Olav are packing solid beards. You're the guy with the power goat, so that's what we're sticking with. Anyhow, United States Navy comes out earlier this month and says, due to pressure from pilots over the years who have had encounters with anomalous aircraft, they are now going to be conducting a review of all of these reports that are going to come in regards to UFOs, UAPs, ATIPs, whatever you want to call them. Is this just smoke over the public's eyes? Because literally, I can't see what the Politico story is quoted as saying, is that the U.S. Navy really didn't have anything to do with it, and the reports were literally chucked in the garbage.
Yeah, I'm kind of cautious with the story. It's not a stretch to think that the military was keeping track of these encounters anyway. Regardless of the opinions of the pilots that were seeing these anomalous objects in the sky. So the idea that they were pressured by their own pilots to start keeping track and do a little more than just a cursory investigation, I really don't buy that. I think they were doing that already. They're just putting forth this story for whatever motivation. I just can't really accept it at face value. So it may be a little bit of smoke and mirrors. It may be a situation where they've been doing this all along. And if anything, when you have a branch of the military and they're coming across unidentified encounters or sightings, it behooves them to investigate it. It does. If they don't, they're really dropping the ball. So I feel this kind of investigation has been going on all this time, but they're just being a little more, I guess, public with it, or putting forth a explanation that the public might buy. But that's all the credence I give with it. So,
Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, I bring you in here because I know you've been pretty hot to trot on a lot of these topics and trying to stay above board with everything. What do you think about this? Do you think the Navy is just playing dumb here in the United States, or do you think that they are actually finally starting to take this seriously because of the popularity of UFOs right now?
They've always taken it seriously. Let's not get distracted by this news announcement, okay? Because this is just damage control. What they're doing is they're going to chop it off at the neck, at the head, whatever you call it, because these retired pilots, whistleblowers, even pilots that are there now are coming out talking about what they're seeing. And there's so much activity, they cannot deny it now. People are seeing it everywhere. And I don't know why all of a sudden. I think the reason is because there's, 7 billion cameras around the world now. Everybody's got one. So people are capturing them all the time. Airplanes, hot air balloons. I mean, you name it. Cessnas, it doesn't matter. I think that's all it is damage control. I'm not buying into it, that they're, impressed and that they have to come forward because they can't believe it themselves. They know this has been going on. That's why they've been keeping it secret all these years, but they can't. So they're just doing this now to chop it off. Damage control. That's what I think.
Olav, do you agree with that it's damage control?
I think it's just a distraction. I mean, if let's take the alien element out of the equation, right? If I've got a pilot circling around up there and he sees something weird, she sees something weird, it could be a Russian plane, a Chinese plane, a drone. It could be a lot of things. And, when the pilot reports that back, of course they're going to look into it. Of course they're going to investigate it. The Air Force has been recording pilot sightings of weird stuff for a long time. And so is the Navy. I think it's just one of those things where, they just came out and said, yeah, we collected, sure, just to make the problem go away. So I don't buy the story behind it.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either. I think there is a little bit of a cover-up to this, that the Navy is finally coming public. And as a military member or former military member, although in the United States Army, Eric, with almost 20 years of service, your thoughts on the fact that the Navy is taking the step up and speaking about this. The Air Force hasn't responded to any media requests about this, so it's really about the Navy right now. Should we be shocked by this type of announcement?
No, but I find it encouraging. I mean, whether it's honestly, whether it's a distraction or not, it's a step in the right direction as far as coming out in the press. I'm actually looking at the Navy Times article about it, because it actually hit the Navy Times as well. And, what I find ironic is they stepped this out right after Project Blue Book TV series comes out. I mean, and that was Air Force. But I find the timing, interesting. And, it's undeniable that UFO sightings this year have been phenomenal. I mean, I've got clients in Australia. I've got team members in Australia that are seeing UFOs daily. And, it's hands down that the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, they've been seeing and reporting UFOs, for years. But again, they have to step it up, because, you've heard reports from pilots that if I do report it, I'm going to get grounded. They're not going to let me fly anymore. And now, are they still going to get grounded? They might behind the scenes, but I think it's out in the public eye now that it's hit every major press, out there, and they can't hide it anymore. So I think coming out in the press like they did is good.
Well, one of the things that I'm very impressed with is that the Navy is going public about this. I'm very surprised that the Air Force, Marines, and Army haven't followed suit yet. But here's one of my concerns, and I don't want to turn this into a To the Stars bashing episode, because that's not what it's about. But what I don't like is the To the Stars Academy all of a sudden trying to make it like they had something to do with this. Maybe they did behind the scenes, but publicly speaking, outside of quotes from Politico, from Chris Mellon, who is part of the TTSA, where they got him for reactionary quotes, which is a big difference in actually getting quotes for a story. All right, there was nothing that had to do with the TTSA regarding the Navy. The Navy never talked about To the Stars. They talked about their own pilots, their own commanders on ships, and their own personnel who made statements in regards to this. Olav, do you think it's the TTSA trying to uplift their own opinions in the polls, or do you think that they were just trying to maintain their level, saying, yeah, we had something to do with this?
I'm of the opinion that they saw an opportunity to promote themselves, and they did. I doubt they had anything to do with it at all. The government, the military, they make decisions because they want to, not because the To the Stars Academy got on the hotline and was like, oh, you guys should do this. that's not the way the government works. They don't care what the exit polls are. They're going to do what they want to do and classify what they want to classify. So no, I think it was just a case where this thing comes out and somebody who's doing their marketing was like, oh, we should imply that we have something to do with that. That'll be great for our PR. But I doubt they did. I doubt it very highly.
William, your take on that?
I'm with Olav. The same thing. I think they saw an opportunity to promote themselves in the public eye, and that's about it. I don't see any other. I can't imagine they were actually. I like what was said before. They were unable to, in any way, shape, or form, influence the military's decision-making process.
No,
not at all. The military does it because they want to. Period. Yeah. So because the military or branches of the military happen to make a more public statement than what they usually do, they saw an opportunity to attach themselves to it, whether legitimately or not, to get some self-promotion. And that's my opinion about it. I think that's the case.
Rich, do you think that To the Stars was jumping on the bandwagon, or do you think that they were doing it as a, hey, congratulations, thanks for stepping up with us?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that, sort of. I think there was a discussion that was probably taking place behind closed doors without that being so obvious. But I also find it interesting how after the TV show Project Blue Book ends, then we have a little lull right now. So this was the announcement before the TV show. So they're giving us something each month, and next month it'll be the Luis Elizondo Unidentified show. So after that, maybe we'll see some stuff. I don't know. After their 6 episodes are done, I bet you we'll have another announcement in July. Maybe around the 4th. Maybe there'll be a UFO sighting of all things on the July 4th. Close to it. I have a feeling something something's imminent or around that day. The way the narrative's being written, at least I think it is, I see this being pieced out every month. And every month we get a little nugget. And that's what this is. It's another nugget before the bigger nugget, which will be a fail, by the way, in my opinion. The Unidentified show.
Eric Cooper.
Or it's a nugget that's disinformation.
Yeah.
Like what they did for A12, the A12 program.
It's going to be a July 4th false flag alien invasion.
Maybe.
Well, with the A12, right? The CIA actively pushed A12 sightings as being UFOs because they didn't want to admit that the A12 existed. That's a predecessor to the SR-71. So they said, well, that crazy silver thing that shoots across the sky, yeah, that's a UFO. In reality, it was an A12 flying over the Soviet Union to take photos. And they used the UFO thing as a distraction. So, July 4th, why not? I'll shut up now.
Cooper.
I'm going to say this: the military is not going to sway. The military is not going to listen to a little panel of civilians that's telling them, "You guys need to take reports seriously." They don't do that. They're going to listen to the Pentagon. They're going to listen to the Department of Defense, not To the Stars. Now, did To the Stars jump on the bandwagon? Probably, because they were losing steam. Now, Elizondo has his TV show coming out, sure, but I think truth be told, truth is coming out. To the Stars is losing steam, had to do something to jump on the bandwagon.
Well,
just my opinion.
That brings up another question here, guys, as we got about 8 minutes before we got to go to break here. Our guests tonight on the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, Rich Giordano, Eric Cooper, William Pullin, Olav Phillips. And, Rich, we'll start with you on this one. I think it's great that the Navy has come out to say this. I think anything that opens up the public's eyes, that where the public has been naked to the truth for a long time, or blind to the truth and naked to the evidence, I really do believe that this could wake up a lot of people. It has the potential to wake up a lot of people, and it's getting press, which is always a good thing when it comes to this topic. But the big question, once again, Rich, is will the public respond? Will this have the majority of the mainstream now talking about it?
That's funny. I talk to the public a lot. believe it or not, when I'm out and about or, family functions, parties, whatever. A lot of people didn't even care about the UFO sightings that were shown last year and the year before. Didn't even know that it was still going on. Had no idea. They have a long uphill battle to get the public to believe in this stuff, believe in it more than they ever have. I think that's what happened. Things got a little quiet, and they're just trying to beef up the narrative again. I don't know. I just think that the public is the public, and they forget. And they waited too long in between. And Project Blue Book did no justice for what really happens in the real UFO world. So that was a little weird. That was like 2 steps back with that show. But I talk to people, and they have no idea what's going on.
The public, William, are they any smarter on the subject? Not the UFO public, but the mainstream public. Are they paying attention now? Because now that one of their big 4 armed forces has admitted they are looking into this.
My gut would tell me no. Simply because the attention span of the public is pretty non-existent. If you have a story and a narrative you try to maintain, and then you let a certain amount of time pass by with no story, and there's dead silence, the public's going to move on to other interests. That's what they do. And that's what happened here. There was a amount of time where there was nothing going on. So you have to maintain the narrative. But their amount of, are they knowledgeable about the UFO subject? I would say no. Somebody with a very, just a passing interest in UFOs might get the motivation to look into it in more than just a cursory examination. But the general public that knows nothing about UFOs, I don't think they're really doing much for that group of people.
Do people care?
I'm going to disagree, though, because we're getting more and more questions about UFOs. I think more so, again, this year than we have in the 12 years we've been running. Now, I completely agree. The general public, their attention span is non-existent. It's gone. But I think there's more and more UFO sightings this year. That's part of it. More and more people are looking up and asking questions. And then, of course, you got the Navy stepping up saying, we're going to take our report serious. It's interesting to see what the next few months brings with all this coming up.
Yeah.
But again, we're getting asked more questions. So the general public that doesn't know anything is starting to ask. And I agree with you, Dave. As wonky as some of this stuff is, it exposes the topic. It brings more people. The ones that have been, I think a lot of people have seen stuff, but because of the ridicule, because of the attitude people have towards the topic, they've been scared to talk about it. Now they're starting to talk about it.
Olav.
Yeah, but there's also the other people forgetting about it too. It's kind of like, it zeroes each other out.
Say what you will about Project Blue Book. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, it's exciting and fun, and I think it's probably something that would make people step back and go, oh, okay, this is entertainment, but, they did do something. Maybe it would make them more curious about Blue Book. But as far as the Navy thing, when I see anything official, maybe it's just the conspiracy bend I have. I mean, I own a magazine called Paranoia, after all. But when I see stuff like the Navy, I look at it and I go, well, that's nice. What's really going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like when Sightings was on, or X-Files, or Project Blue Book, or Ancient Aliens, or any of these kinds of TV shows are, the mass population worldwide gets most of their information, through media. I mean, I had a friend a long time ago who was Japanese, right? And he was very well educated. He had a PhD in atmospheric science. Well, he has a PhD in atmospheric science, floated balloons, did all that kind of stuff. And he used to tell me that in Japan, he, being a person with a graduate degree, he could read about 3/4 of a newspaper. But he said the common person who just had a bachelor's degree or even a high school diploma could read probably 20% of a newspaper. So they actually would get their news through reading manga, through reading comic books. And, if you think about the mentality of that, we gear everything in the world toward, on average, a third or fourth grade reading level or comprehension level. So when you see something like the Navy, the Navy release, I ask myself, what is the real objective behind doing that? Because the Navy coming out and saying, yeah, well, we don't believe in UFOs, but we're going to collect them and we'll see what the deal is. They're hiding something. They're using that to deflect it, to say, okay, well, when you see a light in the sky, you guys over there, yeah, it's aliens. Well, what is it really? Are they rolling out a new squadron of stealth drones, or they're probably doing something else that drove it? But I do believe that the things like Blue Book, Project Blue, the TV show, they do excite the public's imagination. They make people, that kind of stuff makes people look up in the sky and say, well, there's some weird stuff up there, but I don't think I think the Navy thing is a whole lot of nothing. We know the Air Force has admitted that they've been collecting that stuff since the 50s, and they don't tell you what they do with it. We do know that the DOD in general has handed off a lot of that stuff to Bigelow to investigate. That's a known fact. The DOD was very interested in MUFON. That's why they basically paid Bigelow to get the entire sightings database from MUFON. That shows an interest, right? So they're doing something with it. You're never going to know what. And like I said, I think it's a lot of hot air and deflection. But I do think that things like Blue Book and Ancient Aliens do make people look up. And for that, I'm grateful. And frankly, I thought it was pretty awesome entertainment.
Well, we're going to see what goes on here, gentlemen, as time goes forward. Do any other of the military services jump on this bandwagon? Is it all about the Navy, who, if you talk to a lot of people out there, they will say they have a prominent role in space? And maybe we'll just all have to keep our eyes on the press to see what comes out next in regards to UFOs. SOR Paranormal Roundtable happens on the final Friday of every month. Tonight, Rich Giordano from GUFON, FMP's Eric Cooper, William Pullin, UFO researcher and scientist, Paranoia Magazine's Olav Phillips. We're going to move on to a couple notes George Knapp said on this show earlier this month, right after this.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thanks for joining us on this Friday night, early Saturday morning for all of you. Hope your weekend is kicking off on the right way. Remember, if you've missed part of this show, our archives are on youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. You can listen to all of our shows there, and our website, currently under construction, but you can still listen to the show there. It's spacedoutradio.com as we build a brand new look for this show. It's the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. It happens the final Friday of every month. Our guest tonight, Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. We got Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, from Forest Moon Paranormal and S4, Eric Cooper, and UFO researcher and scientist William Pullin. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Oh, always a pleasure. Love this time of month.
Glad to be back.
Well, I appreciate all of you coming on in. Lots of good facial hair here tonight. Lots of good greetings and salutations, Olav Phillips.
That's right.
I miss that. I do. I miss that. Gentlemen, on the 4th of April, I had the pleasure of interviewing George Knapp, who does not do a lot of interviews. And he brought up so many intriguing topics, whether it was the To the Stars Academy, whether it was about Skinwalker Ranch, Bob Lazar, all the stories, excuse me, all of the stories that really seem to highlight his career. But right near the end, I asked him a quick question in regards to being really one of the only investigative journalists currently working in mainstream media who has been involved with this topic for the last 30-plus years. And I asked him in regards to a lot of these people out there who are self-titling themselves to build up their own credibility and everything. And basically what he said was it really upset him. It pissed him off because he had to work hard for his career and his title of investigative journalist with KLAS television in Las Vegas. And I know we've discussed this topic in the past ad nauseum on this show. But when you see somebody like George Knapp, whether you love him or hate him, Rich, how do you feel about him being upset about this topic? Somebody stealing his credentials, not his personally, but the ones that he earned.
Well, I'll just take it from a conversation that you and I have had several times about this, where it's like stolen valor. You know, you can't just go buy a uniform, military uniform, and wear it around acting like you've been in the Army, Navy, or whatever. You know, it's giving yourself false identity. And the guys who do this don't really have any background in the field, I'm finding out. Since they use investigative journalist or investigative reporter or whatever they're not, they're drumming up a persona that's fake, which is very bad for ufology or the paranormal in general, because if this guy's coming out with fake valor, fake, credentials, what does that say for the other people in ufology who really have a vested interest or title that they deserve or earned? It's very bad. It just brings another black eye. And I'm glad that George Knapp said that. That means a lot to me. I learned a lot from that, hearing him say that. It must mean something because he didn't like it. I don't either.
Well, I don't like it either. But, William, I want to bring you in on this because you are actually a scientist. I don't think a lot of people who know you for your UFO research are familiar that you actually have a scientific background, scientific degree. You work in science. And this is something where you see a lot of people out there, whether it's in the land of ghosts, the land of cryptids, the land of UFOs, stealing the title of scientists, or they're conducting scientific experimentation. Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, I hate to correct you. Actually, I worked in science, not anymore. Now I'm just a small tennis coach. But no, it's when you have individuals who claim credentials, who claim education in a certain discipline, and it turns out not to be the case, it's a black eye. It's like the embracing of a UFO case when you find out that their background doesn't pan out, when there's a red flag. And that red flag is not taken at face value. In other words, there's some negative aspects to a case or an individual, and people ignore it. People will overlook it because there's a fun narrative. People want to embrace the story and just overlook the red flags that are readily apparent. That's a black eye because it gives the perspective, it gives the illusion that the UFO community in general is enamored with pseudoscience. They're enamored with the story. They're enamored with the fantastic tales that are being embraced, as opposed to taking it as a grounded science and using that same kind of objective examination, not just of cases, but of individuals who are claiming credentials. It goes a long way. It would go a long way to having the field be more respected, especially by the scientific community. If you had individuals with, go ahead. Sorry.
I understand that, but okay, you are still, even though you're a former scientist where you worked in science, you still earned that degree. You still earned that education. You still earned that title. So when you see people who are running around the forest claiming that they know what Bigfoot is and they're not investigating, anything else besides what they believe, or ufology the same way, which is close to your heart, or even something along the lines of ghosts, do you laugh? Do you?
Oh, no,
do you react to it?
Oh, I get very angry about it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. No, I get pissed off. I completely understand what George Knapp is coming from. You have someone claiming false credentials. So first thought in my head is, well, why did I go to university for 8 years? I should have just stayed. I should have just graduated high school and then lied about my background, if that was the case. I mean, it makes me upset to see that, and that's it's not a rare occurrence nowadays. It's relatively common, which is a horrible statement about the situation.
Well, one of the comments that George made was that, you get a lot of people who are bloggers and vloggers, and he did compliment the amount of citizen journalism out there. Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. He thought it was great. He believes that people do need to be vigilant, write things down, and express their feelings. But to claim yourself as a journalist when you don't know what you're doing, or even an investigative journalist, which is a very high title to earn as a reporter, that's where he started having the issues. And yet in these fields, we tend to see a lot of people who are using that to get television shows, to get into these paracons and UFO cons as speakers, as people of authority in this field, Olav.
This is true. I can't claim that I'm lofty enough to be an investigative journalist or a journalist. I can't claim that I'm a scientist. I personally refer to myself as a conspiracy dork or a conspiracy geek if I like it. But, I think that the field itself is driven by the citizen researcher and a citizen investigator, and I think that's fantastic. I think we should all be looking up in the sky and thinking, what the hell is that? But at the same time, titles do mean something. And if somebody claims to be a scientist, I studied anthropology and sociology, right? I was in college, a real university, for 5 years, studying that stuff. I took primatology, I took archaeology, I took all these things, and at a legitimate school. And when I see some of these things like the alien mummy thing that they had down in Mexico, I'm horrified by it. And I from the ancient aliens aspect of it, that pisses me off, because it's like, look, the world is weird enough. We don't need to concoct stuff to make it weird, right? So if you're going to be an investigative journalist, you should be an actual journalist. Or if you couldn't afford the degree in that, you couldn't afford the education, at least use the basic tenets of it. If you claim that you're a citizen scientist, amateur scientist, fine. But that puts an implication that you're using the scientific method. You have to reproduce the results. You have to do blind studies. You have to do double-blind studies to prove that this stuff is replicatable. Other people need to replicate it as well, and they don't do that. So I definitely think that it's not good. And there are plenty of other titles that you can employ. I would never say I'm a scientist or a journalist. I'm totally fine with people who are researchers, investigators. I mean, that's what I am, right? I'm a researcher. I research stuff, but I'm not going to claim that I'm a nuclear physicist.
Dave,
I studied liberal arts. I'm the last guy you want building a nuclear bomb.
Go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, the title investigative journalist is huge with you and me for some reason, I guess because of you too. But doesn't that mean that, is it just for mainstream media people, or why can't I be an investigative journalist if I break a story or two from Phoenix? Doesn't that make me an investigative journalist if I come up with information that nobody else has? Why can't I be an investigative journalist if I'm breaking news?
I think you can, but I think that if you're going to use the title, it's like being a scientist, right? If you want to claim that you're a scientist, and amateur or legitimate, whatever, I think that's fine. But that implies that you use the scientific method, and that you have to have reproducible results, and those reproducible results need to be verified.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
right,
but I don't necessarily intrinsically have a problem with it. It's just, but you should definitely come clean and go, well, I didn't go to Caltech or MIT to get a PhD in particle physics, but this is what I figured out. So sure, I'm a scientist, amateur, whatever title you want to use. But I think if you are going to do that, I think you have to be very upfront. In anthropology, love it or hate it, one of the things that we were required to do constantly and on an ongoing basis was to outline our personal, how should I put it, our personal bias. Because especially in anthropology, you're studying culture, right? The evolution of culture in general. We had to define our biases up front.
Yeah, I understand. But an investigative journalist is creating evidence that wasn't there before. You're finding stuff that nobody else has. You've investigated
you're not creating evidence. You're not creating
not
evidence.
Creating it, finding it. Bad choice of words.
Uncovering,
Yeah, well...
And I don't have an intrinsic problem with it, but if you're going to do that, you need to step up and actually do it the right way.
Well, what's the right way? No matter how you get the answer, if the answer is correct, doesn't that make it right every time if you're doing it your way? What are they doing that would be any different? Make phone calls, go down to offices, knock on doors? I can do the same thing. It's not that hard to be an investigative journalist. That's why I don't see what the big deal is in being an investigative journalist if you're breaking good stories, Dave.
Putting me on the spot there. You know what? Before I continue, I want to get to Chuck here because he sent me some very strong words, and Chuck is one of our radio station owners here, and he says, "Don't forget there are many educated." Or pardon me, he goes, don't forget there are many that are educated but are not qualified in their field of study. A degree should not give you an automatic for being qualified. I know many that have great credentials, yet they borderline plagiarize other people's work and have zero common sense. There are many that immerse themselves in their work. And that is true. And this is where somebody like you, Rich, who maybe doesn't have a journalism degree, or other people who are blogging and vlogging, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking at how to break a story. It's a hard thing to do. All right? It's a very hard thing to do. It's not easy. And when you are like, I've broken stories that just fell in my lap. All of a sudden, back in my sports days, I would have a player say, hey, you might want to check this out. There's a story there. And then you find it from another person. You get it confirmed. Boom. You run, you break the story. And all of a sudden you get all giddy because your story goes haywire in the sports sections all across your city and hopefully nationally.
But that's just it. That's what's missing. You just said it. If you're going to be a journalist of any kind, whether you have a journalism degree or an English degree or a degree in particle physics, right? The way that being a journalist implies that, sure, anybody can knock on doors, but it's the verification process. Somebody leans over and goes, hey, Dave, you should check this thing out. You go, okay, and you go check it out, and it looks legit. But the difference is that if you say you're an investigative journalist or a journalist, you have to go and verify it. You have to, CNN, love them or hate them, when they run a story, they've independently verified it. And what is missing a lot in the paranormal field and UFOs, and I was thinking UFO, got to watch that show. But you in any of these fields is independent verification. What happens a lot is that somebody hears something, they get a weird email, or I don't know, somebody writes it in the sky with an airplane or whatever. They go, oh my goodness, I'm going to go check this out. And they find some stuff, maybe it's in FOIA or wherever they find it, and they just run with it. They don't take that extra step, which is to go, okay, well, I'm going to try to find somebody to confirm this. That's the difference, is the confirmation process.
Yeah.
That's what makes you a journalist, whether you have a degree in journalism or you have a degree in particle physics or you have a degree in zoology. It doesn't matter. It's the independent verification. Being a journalist implies that you're following the journalistic process. That's what I care about. I don't care what your degree is in. It can be in basket weaving. It implies that you follow the independent verification process, and there's logic to how you're investigating it. And that's where we fail every time.
That's passionate.
There's a great story. There's a guy, Kerry Cassidy has interviewed him, right? He was Mark Richards. He claims that he's a whistleblower. He was a captain in the Navy in the secret space program, right? In reality, what he was an independent contractor that him and a guy who worked for him set this rich dude up in Marin and killed him and took his credit cards, took his money, sold his boat, did all this stuff because he wanted to build Camelot in like Marin County. He thought he was like King Arthur and stuff. But now he goes and he's in prison for murder. And Kerry Cassidy goes over to him and he spins a wild yarn about how he was in the secret space program. Where Kerry Cassidy is falling down is that there's plenty of evidence that the guy is a murderer and that he planned and calculated that murder and that he did it for money. There's no evidence at all anywhere in any way, shape, or form that's independently verifiable other than from him that he was in the secret space program, the Navy, or anything else. No independent verification. Whether you have a degree or not, you haven't verified the guy's story. He's just a nut job in prison for killing somebody. But suddenly he's in prison because he's a political prisoner and a lot of other crap that nobody believes. But she ran out and interviewed him and said it's legit. No independent verification. That's what makes you a journalist, is the independent verification. And that's what Knapp does. Knapp's got a Rolodex.
That's what says,
Bob Lazar guy, I'm going to go check him out.
That's what anybody does, is you have to verify the source. You have to verify the story. So just because, let's say, you got a story about Area 51 and that there's aliens running around, and you have 2 or 3 people who've seen that, maybe filmed it or whatever, it could give you verifiable evidence, you run with it. That's your story. Where it's not just saying, oh, well, I heard, I'm going to take that political story on the U.S. Navy and I'm going to turn it into my own story, and that's what I'm going to run with, which is what's happening in the field of ufology. Yeah, I know a lot of journalists who never ever finished journalism school, and they're some of the best broadcasters that I've seen out there in mainstream radio. It does happen. But you still have to be able to understand what the story is about, how to put a story together. What, do you need facts? It's not opinion. And, you know, that's probably the biggest issue that I see, Rich, is that a lot of people who are claiming these titles, what they're doing is they're giving opinion. They're not giving fact. Or they're giving fact on a story that has a ton of facts out there already. Take Roswell, for instance. There's a new television show about Roswell. What new could you provide 70 years later? What new can you provide? Why are we wasting the time? And by the way, Roswell show, if you're listening, which I'm probably not, why don't you ever talk about the crash at San Augustine that happened the exact same day?
Right.
Isn't that part of Roswell? Happened the same day.
Nobody ever talks about it.
But one of them is an investigative journalist.
It wasn't as exciting.
But I thought that's where the actual bodies were from.
Open to interpretation.
Yeah.
You're relying on third. Again, Roswell is a great example. You're relying at this point on third and fourth level witnesses of what they saw. And like every one of these shows, they trot out the same 10 people have been telling the same 10 stories for the last 50 years. You know, well, somebody told me this. Well, you know, my dad heard that. Well, my dad saw this. Well, that's great. You know, my dad's a great guy. He saw a whole lot of weird stuff. I didn't see it. There's nothing to verify it. So it's anecdotal at best. It tells a great story, though. And it's important. Don't get me wrong. It's important. But, you know, there's nothing verifiable. Right.
Oh, yes. Good old verifiable news. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you guys to sit tight here. We're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We got the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, hour 1 in the books. 2 more hours to go on the big show tonight. I hope you stick with it because we're going to get into some Bigfoot next. We're going to have some fun there.
Outrageous.
Yes.
Bigfoot.
Yes. Our guest tonight, Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, scientist and UFO researcher William Pullin, from Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips, and from Forest Moon Paranormal and S4, we got Eric Cooper. Stay tuned. Bigfoot Talk coming up next on the Mighty SOR. We'll be back. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedarville, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens,
Talk Radio.
Bigfoot.
Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedarville, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. This weekend, while I am off finding my Zen and my Chi, what you can do is tune in to Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa Nicole Timas, Saturday and Sunday night, only at spacedoutradio.com, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN, AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, hi to everyone on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xanthophyceae. I don't know. I may have got that. Holy cow. Xanthophyceae is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Due to popular demand, we are expanding it, so it is currently under construction, but you can still listen to the show right then and there. Tonight on the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, which happens the final Friday of every month, we bring in a panel of friends to discuss the month that was in the weird, strange, and wacky of this show. Tonight we are joined by Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal and S4, Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, from Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips, and William Pullin, UFO researcher and scientist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining on in. We're going to get into Bigfoot tonight, because I love this topic. But we're going to look at it at a little bit of a different sense here, gentlemen. And, Coop, we're going to start with you. Actually, we're going to start with your beard.
Let me give a shout-out real quick.
Yeah, do that.
So, William Hovenden, one of our Forest Moon Paranormal team members, went to Army boot camp back in February, and I just received breaking news that he graduated today. And tonight is off to Fort Sam Houston to be a combat medic. He's going to med school. So congratulations, Will. We're proud of you. Get back here so you can be our EMT.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Good, man.
That's absolutely awesome. Good for you, Will.
It is.
Good for you. Getting to Bigfoot. Okay, we're going to look at this from a different side of things, and I'm going to tell you why. During my daytime job, because I do have 2 careers that I do, I was meeting with a First Nations person from my area, and he was telling me stories about Sasquatch, where they're located, where I should look, what I should do. We got into Dogman as well. But one of the things that he was saying is, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're ready. And I took that as some very, very sage advice. So my question to you is, we got all of these people using scientific method, going out in the forest from now until wintertime, running around. Some of them will have experiences. The majority will not. But the majority of people out there are not looking at it from a First Nations perspective, or not even talking to anybody who's indigenous who may have a little bit to add to the story. Coop, when we look at Sasquatch from a mainstream view, are we doing ourselves a favor in really, really looking and ignoring, for the most part, the indigenous side of this?
I think so, because, you and I are both of the same viewpoint that he's interdimensional. And I think there's a lot more to him and her, because I believe there's families of them. You know, I've got the footprints, but we've had this talk before in that, is anybody ever actually going to find Bigfoot, or are we just need to follow the evidence? And is that all we're going to get? You bring up Bigfoot in my community here upriver in Concrete, and everybody's got a story. Everyone's seen something, or even smelled something, or heard the tree knocks. So, there's a plethora of evidence out there, but nobody's ever got that good picture.
William, your thoughts on this, because from a scientific point of view, it's very hard to listen to legends and lore because there's not much proof there outside of the story. Yet First Nations people have been here for thousands of years, as we do know, and it has been proven. Do you think that we need to start, as a community in the paranormal, paying a little bit more attention to what First Nations people are saying, especially when it comes to the cryptids?
Definitely, yes. Whether you're applying the scientific method or anything less stringent than that, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not gathering information from the indigenous people. Those tribes were here much longer before white men arrived. And my personal position on Bigfoot is it's actually a physical species. It's an unknown species of animal that exists on Earth. But I might be totally wrong with that. But whatever your position is, you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not try to gather information. Be it, I understand that they are stories, but most stories and myths they're grounded in reality. There's some snippet of verifiable testimony there. You're putting yourself behind the eight ball if you don't gather that information, whatever you do with it. If you don't talk to these people are living. They've been there for centuries. So it doesn't make any sense not to conduct research involved with their points of view.
I think the way I look at it, too, and I want to get your opinion on this, Will, is, to me, if I break down science, and I'm not even close to being a scientist, not even close, all right? I dodged science coming into school or coming out of school. That's why I went into journalism, frankly. But nonetheless, it's something that I've never been good at, and I'm very, very open to admit that. But what I do understand about science is it is, if you break it down to the complete basics, about proving and disproving theory. And this is where I have a problem with the Bigfoot community, and I've said this many times, is that we seem so quick to judge on disproving a lot of the theories that First Nations have, which maybe Sasquatch is a shapeshifter, maybe he jumps through dimensions, maybe he's able to camouflage himself through some sort of pixelation, and maybe that's why every time we see a video or a photograph, the creature seems to be blurry. There's a lot of things that we haven't disproven, but we're ready to write off the bat. I know it sounds crazy, maybe even a little peak woo-ish, but shouldn't we disprove that through science rather than opinion first?
Yes. I mean, and keep in mind that science is not the end-all, be-all. Science has its limitations. Our ability to apply science, our scientific knowledge has grown as time progresses. So we have a certain amount of knowledge at this point. To say in another 100 years, it's a safe assumption our scientific knowledge would be increased by that point in time. So it's if you have a lack of evidence, or you're relying on testimony or anecdotal evidence or whatever have you, it pays to be cautious and not just throw out the baby with the bathwater. You can't just, if something is disproven, well, yeah, it's been disproven at this point, but some other new evidence may come to light, or someone else with a better perspective, a better take on the situation may be able to cast a different light on something. So it pays to be cautious, and yes, you want to disprove and knock some possibilities off the table that may not hold any water, but still keep them at arm's length because some other evidence may come to the forefront that may make you change your position. Which, at least in the paranormal field, a lot of researchers don't change their position depending on the evidence. They get pigeonholed in their belief system, their belief structure, and they don't change it. And I think it pays dividends to go where the evidence leads you, with an open mind that other possibilities are out there that may hold water in the long run.
Olav, your thoughts?
Well, I have a different, angle on it. I mean, I studied primatology. I studied physical anthropology. I studied Native American studies. I think absolutely you have to take the folklore into account, because when you're dealing with a culture that has a non-written language, right? That their history and their science and their understanding of the world around them is passed on through folklore and analogy, and that's how they document their history. So you're absolutely going to find things and nuggets that, although it may be wrapped in a myth, there is some fundamental basis generally to the myth, right? That it comes from somewhere. They didn't, as a culture, they didn't wake up one morning and go, well, we want to talk about this big hairy thing that runs around the forest. Somebody saw something. Maybe it was a bear, and they interpreted it as a bipedal hominid or whatever. But it comes from somewhere. Somebody saw something, and the way that they recorded their history at that time was, it was verbal. So you absolutely have to take it into account, plus the fact that they've been here for thousands and thousands of years, starting with the Clovis people that came across the land bridge. So, just in their modern component, it may be hundreds of years, but, as a group, they've been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? And they've seen stuff in that time. As far as Bigfoot, I think it's a unclassified hominid. I think that there's plenty of evidence for something that existed at one time that represents that morphology, that how it looks, Gigantopithecus, right? They used to find, it was a kind of a big chuckle in my physical anthropology class, because they used to find these Gigantopithecines all over Asia, Yeti, right? And they used to take the molars, because the molars were so large. They called them dragon teeth, and they would actually grind them up and use them as an aphrodisiac. But they were prevalent enough that they actually had something to do with the molars when they found them. So there is an extinct species that represents, it's 8 feet tall, big thick bones, right? Slightly hunched over. I mean, all your classic kind of Bigfootness. There is an extinct species that represented that. So the idea that there's an offshoot of that species, it makes total, utter rational sense to me. And I've seen the skeletons, I've seen the bones, and it is 100% real. As far as Bigfoot, I think that just looking at on the surface, that there was something that looked like that, so it probably continued. And I've seen one, so I know what I saw. It made no sense to me. I have a friend who has saw it too, who can actually do significant heavy math. And we did the math to figure out how big it was, because we saw it at a fair distance. But he did all the calculations to figure out how big this thing was that we watched for 45 minutes. Actually over an hour. But, so I absolutely believe it. And I am very interested in what the First Nations people have to say about it. I think that it's critical to us figuring out what this thing is.
Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio.
What he said.
Perfect. Good answer.
Yeah, my anthro degree, my anthro training, and had something beneficial. Hooray for me.
Exactly. It would be hard to say anything against that, because seen it, his friend saw it, But nonetheless, the evidence is still very thin for someone like me who hasn't seen it to say it really exists. I can see it existing.
Well, four of us saw it, actually.
Okay, four, and other people here have seen it. So it's not uncommon, but I guess it's uncommon to get the evidence. And that's what's frustrating about it. Oh, I know. He's at a different vibration. It's a perfect scapegoat for that. I guess the trees in the background are also on another vibration. So
no, I was lucky. I was straight up lucky. It's not about vibrations.
No, I'm not you. I'm just throwing out the general consensus that Bigfoot, why the pictures are, fuzzy, is because it's on a different vibration or vibrating at a different level than what the camera could see. And my joke was, yeah, and the leaves are too in the background, the trees and all that. It's just a fuzzy camera. He's moving.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Rich, are you sure it's not a street lamp?
Could be a
hairy street lamp.
Let me tell you, it could be. It's a security light.
Right,
it's a security light.
Landing strip.
It's just frustrating for an outsider like me who's not really. I wish I'd be into Bigfoot. It's just not that popular and common in Arizona. But I'm sure it's real, but it's hard to verify, man. I don't know. I'm still up in the air.
It is hard to verify, and that's kind of the problem. But the fact is, without a doubt, First Nations people, Rich, they believe in this creature, much like in Utah, they believe in the skinwalkers. Yeah. And like to them, this is reality. And I guess for the most part, too many of us are making fun of it. Too many of us are thinking, oh, you're just a drunk, or you're just somebody living in the past, or just making up stories. I mean, this is what indigenous people all over North America and the world, for that matter, have to deal with when it comes to these stories of these creatures. Yet for them, it's a daily part of their lives because they keep passing on the stories from generation to generation. And that's where I think we, as the so-called brighter part of the species, self-proclaimed, are forgetting the fact that we aren't even investigating what they're saying. And they're just saying, screw you. You don't want to listen to us, so we're not going to bother giving you any information.
Wait, nobody's investigating them?
Very few.
Well, that's sad.
There's an important thing to remember here, right? That for those people that discount the First Nations narratives and folklore about Bigfoot and cryptids in general, right? Because not all is just Bigfoot. These people, their cultures are centered around where this thing is supposed to live. If you're there day in and day out, your chances of coming across it are much higher. If you live in the forest where this thing lives too, the chances of you bumping into it are much higher. And as far as why we can't find it, I mean, think about it logically, right? You're this thing and you're going and kind of jogging through the forest. Everybody's after you, right? They want to shoot you. They want to stuff you. They want to turn you into a museum exhibit. Would you not be afraid? We don't exactly come out with cookies and chocolates and flowers and go, hey, Sasquatch, come and have lunch. I mean, we're out there. A lot of these guys are out there trying to hunt it. So, being a feral predator, it has to be a predator, I'm assuming at some level, and being feral, wild in the forest, they have a predator natural understanding of threat. Any animal has an understanding of threat, whether it's a predator or not. They have a preternatural understanding of threat. This thing is bigger, smarter, and faster than a lot of the other things in the forest, and it probably sees us as a threat. So it's going to go away from where we are. Even First Nations people did that, right? Ishi, the last Yahi, right? He told Krober when he finally stumbled out of the forest starving, he told Krober, he said, my group, my hunter-gatherer group, we knew that you guys were there. And this is a human being. We knew you were there. You were not happy people. So we stayed away from you because you were a threat. Now, I came out of the forest because I'm hungry and I'm tired and Everybody else is dead. I'm the last one. So I needed help. So I finally took the risk and came out of the forest, and here I am now with you, Krober. But the reality is he told Krober, in so many words, you guys are bad, so we stayed away from you my entire life. And that's a human being. Think of what Bigfoot's thinking, right?
Yeah.
He's thinking, why can't I just be left alone? Why don't I get to vote?
Probably.
The people of Eastern Washington think I should be a citizen, so why can't I vote? I don't know. And Coop, you know who those people are, but nonetheless.
God, yeah.
We got about 2.5 minutes. Eric Cooper, I want you to kind of finalize this in regards to this, and we know that we should be taking it a little bit more seriously with regards to First Nations and their stories about creatures like Sasquatch. How do we open up ourselves, though, to believing it?
Well, it's hard to get First Nation stories because a lot of First Nations won't talk to us. They won't talk to white men. They keep their stories, so you have to look for the written lore. And I've been working on getting First Nations to talk to, because their stories, and not even just Bigfoot, but they even have the stories about Starman and people that come from the stars. They have the whole gamut of paranormal when it comes to Skinwalker, the Wendigo. They have phenomenal stories, and I agree. They're not just stories; they're actually written lore. These are things that happen in their tribes. And if you don't look at those stories and you don't put those stories with what you know, with what you've experienced, what you've seen, then you're discrediting a whole lot of evidence. And I don't know, but these TV shows disgust me. I mean, come on, hunting Bigfoot, killing Bigfoot, really?
Really?
Well,
it needs to be taken. It needs to be taken more seriously.
Have you seen the movie with Sam Elliott, the man who shot or who killed Hitler and then killed Bigfoot?
No, I don't want to. I haven't even heard of that one, but I don't want my like of Sam Elliott to get destroyed.
It was Sam Elliott.
It's a nice mustache. But anyways, gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on here. We got a full panel of facial hair tonight on Spaced Out Radio's monthly Paranormal Roundtable. It happens the final Friday of every month. Tonight, we got some pretty good guys here. Pretty good guys. Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal and radio show S4, which can be found on Spreaker.com if you want to check it on out. 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Saturday nights, early Sunday mornings if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, one of the best out there, in my opinion. Check out his YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. From Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips. And we have William Pullin, UFO researcher, scientist, with us tonight. Paranormal Roundtable gets into missing people right after this. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning on in. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out in the frozen Canadian tundra, where it's nice and warm tonight. Thank you for joining us. Remember, if you've missed part of this show or others, you can check out all of our shows at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. They are free for you. And our website, spacedoutradio.com, currently under construction, but you can still listen to the show there. All because of you guys. We are building it bigger, better, and better for everyone to have some fun. The SOR Paranormal Roundtable happens the final Friday of every month. We got a great panel tonight. Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine, scientist and UFO researcher William Pullin from S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal, Eric Cooper, Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Thank you.
Rich, we're going to start off with you here.
Oh.
Oh, little Rich Giordano, we're going to start off with you tonight.
Bring it on, brother.
Hey, you ruined my baseball call there. Thank you. You know, trying to do my best Vin Scully.
Sorry,
nonetheless, that's okay, brother. But nonetheless, we had a couple of talks this past month about missing people. We talked about the legendary story from Vancouver Island in British Columbia about Granger Taylor, who on November 29th, 1980, left a note for his family saying, basically, this is the night I'm going up with the aliens on a 4.5-year run across the universe. I will see you again, but it's been almost 40 years and nobody has seen him. People, including the RCMP, believe he committed suicide by blowing his truck up in one of the dense Canadian forested mountains. We also had Amber Beckerud on from way up in the Klondike, talking about missing people, especially around the Alaskan Triangle, and the legends that go along with creatures kidnapping, especially women, taking them as wives or taking their children to help create their own wild man type family. When it comes to missing people and monsters, Rich, do we take these stories with a grain of salt because they're relatively unprovable? Or do we look at them and say, look, there's no trace. This person isn't somebody who would just disappear off the face of the earth. And poof, they're gone. Where do they go?
Well, you know, when you've exhausted every avenue for a logical answer as to what happened to this person, why can't we find them? You can go to where it could be some sort of monster or creature or whatever, but you could also, not rule out bears tigers, lions. I mean, people go missing in the wild, man. I mean, this is something that isn't for everybody. I mean, a lot of these people are expert climbers. I get it, hikers, whatever, outdoorsmen. Where do they go? What happens? You know, who knows? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's alien or it's Bigfoot or something else. But if you get hurt out there in the wilderness or get lost or run out of food or get caught in a storm, you could very well die very quickly out there and be eaten and your body would be taken away, you know, no scraps left behind. So I'm not sure. But as somebody who would go look for these bodies and can't find a trace of it, I'm wondering if they're really, you know, going deep down into the bush, into the trees, looking everywhere they should, or is it too hard for them to get to? So I don't know, man. I'm not an expert on this. It's very hard for me to give an answer, but that's the answer I'm giving, is that it's very, very much a wilderness out there. You can get killed very easily.
Oh, sure you can. And let's face it, your body is going to be taken over by scavengers. I'll give you a quick example of this. I was driving home tonight. I went out for dinner with a friend of mine before the show. And I'm driving home, and I had this beautiful scene, man. I mean, it was kind of disgusting, but a beautiful scene nonetheless. So there's a car about 4 or 5 car lengths ahead of me, and we're just about to go into this corner. And all of a sudden, I see this bald eagle, as I start to pass it, take off right in front of me. Big bald eagle, the white head, the white feathers in the tail. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And as I'm looking at this bald eagle take off right as I'm passing it, I see the deer carcass right there. And the sad part about that deer carcass was there were 2 deer right above the bald eagle looking down at the bald eagle, chomping down on the carcass. So that could have been mom, it could have been a sibling, but here they were watching a funeral of cannibalism right in front of them. Animal cannibalism. Is that even a term? If not, let's coin it. But nonetheless, I mean, the bones get scattered. They get scattered, and they're just going to disappear. So I could see where, you know, if a person, say, died of dehydration or exhaustion out in the forest, lack of water, whatever it may be, before, as the bugs get you, well, the wolves, the coyotes, the porcupines, the cats, everything's going to have a little feast off of you. That's just natural. But the strangeness, Eric Cooper, when it comes to people just disappearing, do you think that they are being taken by some of them being taken by some sort of monster? Or do you believe that maybe they've walked into a different portal, a different timeline? What do you think it could be? Let's peek woo this a little bit.
I think it's a combination. I don't think it's one thing taking them all. Now, once you've eliminated, you know, the serial killer aspect, the foul play aspect, the random hiker that just walked off the trail, there's a whole myriad of possibilities. But I'll use a case that we had here back in August, and this woman's never been found, still, to this day. Not a trace. She's gone. It broke history in that Skagit County, or Washington State had about 10 different counties of search and rescue that searched for 10 days. It broke history as far as the biggest manhunt for a missing person in Washington State history. Not a trace. There were, witnesses that saw this woman on at the peak. She was seen on video, but she disappeared. There's a lot of speculation. No, she ran away. Oh, there's a lot of speculation. Now, with the Peek-Woo side, with the Paulides, the missing 401, granite rock, it plays a part in it. Near water plays a part in it. There were cases where the missing person's clothes were folded up neatly and they were gone. This particular case fits a couple of the patterns. There was a sudden storm immediately upon her disappearing. It was a Vesper Peak, which is a granite mountain. It fits patterns. But when you take all the factors of all these missing, I think Bigfoot could be some of them. I think aliens could be some of them. I think a portal could be some of them. I don't think there's one factor that entails all of them. As far as, in this particular case, again, you had hundreds of people searching for this woman for 10 straight days. Not a trace. If she would have died, that within 24 hours, there would be a trace of predator. There'd be trace of bones. There'd be trace of body. There'd be blood. There'd be something. Which is why I argue about the missing bones factor. Yeah, okay. If they were looked for a month or two later, then I get that. There's not going to be a carcass. It's going to be picked over. But most of these missing people are searched for within the first 2 weeks. So you're still going to have some kind of a sign. Mountain lion, you're going to find drag marks. Bear, you're going to find drag marks. You're going to find some kind of a struggle. The actual paranormal side of the missing people, there is none. They're just gone. There was a case where a 2-year-old was found on the other side of a cliff, the other side of a peak. How would a 2-year-old climb over a mountain peak? There's too much strangeness. Even if 10% of the thousands of missing a year was paranormal related, it would still be 10% unexplained.
William Pullin, looking at this at a scientific sort of way here, there's a lot of explanations as to why someone would go missing or how they could just disappear without a trace when you include the wild animal aspect of everything. But is there a possibility that there are alternative reasonings to this in your mind?
I would say so. I mean, my first gut instinct would be to try to find an explanation that's a little more mundane, a little more earthly, before getting to the exotic. But I guess a lot of these cases there's a lack of solid evidence to get you in one direction. It might make you think it was someone who committed suicide, or they were attacked by a mountain lion, or they fell off a cliff, or whatever the case may be. But just because you have a lack of evidence doesn't mean that a certain potential explanation is off the table. That just means you have a lack of evidence, and it means you need to keep digging and searching for what you can find. But in cases where, like what was said previously, in cases where these individuals are being looked for within a short period of time, a week or two, there should be a trace, and there's not in some of these cases. So that makes me think there may be a more exotic explanation for those, as opposed to somebody disappearing off the face of the earth, and then they're being looked for like 6 months after the fact. Well, there won't be any trace after that amount of time. So I think all possible explanations are on the table. But I would, if I was investigating a missing person case, I would look at the more mundane explanations before getting to the exotic, but not eliminating those either. So,
Olav, your thoughts?
Me personally, I'm never that excited about one person who vanishes off the face of the earth, right? What I'm looking for is the pattern. If a lot of people are vanishing in certain places, then something is going on, right? And about the guy who vanished off the face of the earth and they said he blew up his truck. Well, if he blew up his truck, right, there's going to be residue of that. If he blew it up in the forest, it's probably going to cause a fire. At a minimum, as the truck is burning, there's going to be a huge smoke cloud, and, fire spotters are going to see it, right? I mean, when I was a kid, I was in Boy Scouts. We went to a campsite next to a lake, and we got this bright idea that we were going to take this tree. It was a tree that was down, so we dragged it back, and we put it in the bonfire, because the bonfire was up against a cliff, so we took about 8 feet of this tree and put it next to the cliff, and it went up because it was in a bonfire. Massive smoke cloud. actually set off a fire spotter at one of the towers. And about, 40 minutes later, along comes a park ranger, and he's like, what the hell? And, oh, you're having a bonfire, you're Boy Scouts? The dads gave him a beer, we gave him marshmallows, and he hung out for a while. But, nothing ever disappears without a trace at all. I personally would look for the mundane explanation first, go for the more exotic. But what I'm more concerned about is there a pattern? Is there one mysterious disappearance in this location, or are there 10, 20, 30? That's what I give David Missing 411. That's what I give him a lot of credit for, is that he's charting the pattern, and the pattern is what really tells you something. If there's something weird going on somewhere, it's not going to be one person. It's going to be a dozen people, or 100 people, or 1,000 people. I'm also looking at, there are stories of First Nations villages that have disappeared off the face of the earth. One day, people go in, they go to the village, everybody's hanging out, they're hunting, fishing, doing whatever they want to do. They come a week later, a month later, and the village is still there, and there's no people. That's weird. Why would you do that, right? So I'm looking for the aberrations, which is the pattern of aberrations or the mass of the aberration. One person I'm not as interested in. An entire village, I'm very interested. A pattern of a dozen people who have disappeared along one stretch of freeway, I'm very interested. And I'm into peak woo, man. I've known people who have actually gotten caught in time vortexes, and had weird experiences, and I can tell you all about it. But, it's still a pattern. There's always a pattern, and you have to find the pattern.
Your thoughts on that, Will?
I like that. I mean, going to the UFO issue, because there's a severe shortage of physical evidence. If you take out first-hand testimony, radar visual tracking, radiation traces, burn traces, take that off the table and just simply look, okay, do we have a piece of the craft? No, we don't. But we can extrapolate patterns from mass numbers of sightings. We can wrap our head around what may or may not be happening just from a numbers standpoint. The only issue with the UFO problem is that most sightings are not reported. So whatever numbers we gather from the files of sightings are kind of skewed because they're a small percentage of what's actually being seen. Maybe that's changing nowadays. I don't know. But as far as missing persons, I'd like to know what percentage of people that disappear, how many of those are actually reported, and then go from there.
I can tell you this. North of me on the Highway of Tears, that is very well known for dozens of and I think it's maybe close to 100 or 200 missing Indigenous women over the years have just vanished without a trace. The RCMP believe there is a multitude of serial killers using that area as a hunting ground, as sick as that is to say. But a lot of First Nations people also believe that there are more male Sasquatch than female Sasquatch. And from what I was told by a couple of First Nations people, is a lot of these women who go missing up there are either pregnant, have given birth within the last year, or are within a month before or a month after or during their menstruation cycle. And they believe
again,
up to 20...
It's a pattern. It's a pattern.
And they believe up to 20 to 30% of the missing women may have been taken as Sasquatch wives. Now, that's not to make light of it. Okay, I realize there's going to be people listening out there rolling their eyes like, oh, really, Dave? You have the nerve to go there? Those words are not from me. Those are from people whom I've talked to in the First Nations community, including one of the people whose cousin's wife was one of the missing women on that Highway of Tears. And that's why the First Nations up there tell their women, please do not walk alone at night, because that's when the Sasquatch come out. And
they believe it.
They believe it. And when you hear, once again, we get into the First Nations legends, that's one of the eerie things that could be going on that we have no proof of. Of course, the RCMP are not going to look into that. Why would they?
Yeah.
But it's a pattern.
Is the RCMP...
It's a pattern.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Rich.
And if you... Yeah, go
I was just asking, what is the RC? Is it Rosicrucian? Is that what you're thinking? Is that what it is? The RCMP?
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Oh, that too. Okay.
Yeah, the other one. The other one.
But again, if you think that that's what it is, right? This is layers. You have a bunch of missing people, overlay on top of that Sasquatch sightings in the area, overlay on top of that UFO sightings of the area, and the patterns emerge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Trip in the chat room also brings up, in British Columbia and along the shores of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California are all these missing feet that keep appearing.
And they're right feet.
The odd one's a left one.
Yeah, that's
an odd left one.
They're just washing, right?
Right feet.
They're washing up on shore, right?
Yeah.
That's wearing
bizarre.
shoes.
That's been happening forever.
Yeah,
the sharks don't like the left feet.
And they're generally right feet, and they're wearing shoes.
What does that mean? What do people think that means?
Well, from what I've learned is that as the body decomposes and the fish are feeding off the body, they can't get to the feet. So usually around the knee or the ankle, the foot separates from the body. And because the shoes are light enough to float, it brings the foot up to the surface. And eventually the current takes it onto land.
Just the right foot.
Right feet. But why is it the right foot?
Sometimes it's the left.
Oh,
There's
okay.
been a couple of lefts
generally it's the right.
Yeah,
but
it's
the
weird.
vast majority are right feet.
Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. We're flying on by 2 hours down in the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. We're joined with scientist William Pullin tonight. From Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips. From GUFON Radio, Rich Giordano. From I combined them both. Forest Moon Paranormal and S4, Eric Cooper. We're going another hour. We're going the distance with these boys because our facial hair is ready to go 3 hours of the Paranormal Roundtable. Coming up next, we're going to get into a fun topic. You got to wait and see for this one. We'll be back right after this.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have each and every one of you with us this weekend when I'm off finding my Zen and my Chi. Tessa Nicole Thomas is back with Spaced Out Weekend, Saturday and Sunday night, 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, and in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM on the digital side. Hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, you can find all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xanthophyce. Xanthophyce is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night, right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, currently under construction because we are redoing it all just for you. We got the Paranormal Roundtable happening for another hour on this show. Is the final Friday of the month. We get a bunch of guests together, talk about the month that was in the weird, strange, wacky, and see where it goes. Our guest tonight from Paranoia Magazine, Olav Phillips. UFO researcher and scientist William Pullin. From GUFON Radio, Rich Giordano. And from Forest Moon Paranormal and the radio show S4, we have Eric Cooper. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming back. We're going to get a little political here for a minute. We don't usually discuss politics on this show, but because it pertains to UFOs, I thought this was a little prudent for us to do. Doesn't matter whether you are a supporter in the United States of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the 6 people who support the libertarians. But here's the thing. As we draw closer to the 2020 election, which is about a year and a half away, the Democrats are now naming their nominees, and everybody who's jumping in on the race is wanting to get in on it and say, I'm going to run for president. I will defeat the current residing weird-haired one. But are UFOs going to be a topic of discussion? And the reason why I ask this is presidential candidate for the Democratic Party, Andrew Yang, has come out publicly saying UFOs probably do exist, and he even admitted to being very curious about the phenomenon during a campaign trail interview. He was in New Hampshire when he was asked the question, and literally he says, I'm very curious about UFOs. I have a feeling they probably do exist. Now, of course, this gentleman has shot to attention, but other candidates have been pretty silent about it. Democratic frontrunner Bernie Sanders refused to give his view on the UFO phenomenon when asked by the paper. Joe Biden, the former vice president, hasn't said a thing yet, neither of any other candidates, but this comes on the heels of former Democrat out of Nevada, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who is pushing Congress and the Senate to start throwing millions of taxpayer dollars into UFO research. William, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think it's going to be an election hot button? UFOs. What do we know about them?
I don't think it'll be a hot button issue, but I think it will be discussed a bit. It was being touched on by Hillary Clinton when she was running against Trump. She had already won the nomination, I think, and she spoke at length about UFOs. But then that kind of went by the wayside. It'll be interesting to see what transpires. I mean, in the past, you had candidates like Jimmy Carter, Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan, although Reagan didn't really talk about them directly, but they all spoke about UFOs. And then come the 90s, it was kind of something you just didn't talk about. Candidates were ridiculed about it. And now it's kind of come full circle again, where candidates are discussing, or at least they're not afraid to talk about UFOs at length when they're asked about it. So it'll be interesting to see. But like you said, Sanders and Biden haven't said a word, so I don't know what will happen with that. Trump with his Space Force announcement may say something about the UFO issue, but I think that would be only a reactionary statement to what a Democrat might say. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the reason why we're looking into this is because when John Podesta in the last election was running Hillary Clinton's campaign, he was pretty much egging on the media to ask Hillary about the UFO phenomena. It's very well known, whether you love them or hate them or have potentially, allegedly, been murdered by them, that the Clintons, and I'm teasing about that, by the way, in case anybody strange is listening, the Clintons have always had a real interest in UFOs. So Podesta was egging on the media to get that question in, and then it finally happened, and the media went into about a 5-week frenzy about Hillary and UFOs. And the fact that this is now a hot-button topic, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, do you think that the UFOs could literally be on any election agenda? At least one of the topics that is discussed in the all candidates forums.
I would hope. Do I expect it? No, because we all held our breath with Clinton when she was bringing up UFOs, and she was going to bring up disclosure and yada yada yada, and and then you got Trump with the Space Force, and I mean, you just watch the pattern. I look at life like a circus anymore. I mean, what's going to happen today? It's just, so I really don't hold my breath. We had a vampire that was running for president back when Obama was running. I think he was out of Arizona or Colorado. I mean, every time elections come up, you got some fringe that's going to run. So is Yang jumping on the bandwagon because he sees maybe a ticket coming into it? Maybe. But I'm not impressed. I'll watch it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not holding my breath.
Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio. Should UFOs be a topic for presidential candidate discussion?
No, it won't be at first. It might be something out of desperation, I think, if they feel they need votes or maybe not need them. I don't know. It depends on who's doing it, who's going to talk about it, what questions will be asked of them, how will they answer it. There's a lot of ifs in this. It's very difficult to predict. I don't know. I don't think so. Well, no, you know what? Let me take it back. Didn't mean to scream at you. I got excited because I just realized that, you know what? Maybe somebody will. And I think it's because of how popular it is. But who knows in 18 months from now or however long it is? Who knows what narrative will change?
Well, a lot of people, though, Rich, a lot of people laughed at John Podesta for even trying to push that agenda going into the 2016 presidential election. And yet here we are. The New York Times article has come out. The videos have come out. David Fravor has come out. People from the Nimitz have come out. We just got earlier this week, the U.S. Navy is now looking into UFOs. Harry Reid is now speaking very publicly about this. Mm-hmm. I think it is a topic, if you look at it from a national security angle, that could be on one of those hot button issues for the first time in history.
I don't know if it's going to be like that. I really don't think it'll be. It'll take a little more for it to get to be a hot topic, basically, or a bullet point for the discussion. Yeah, I think it'll be brought up. I just don't think it'll be brought up right away. I think that you got to see what narrative is going to play out. You know, are they going to jump into fire, or are they going to jump into ice when they bring it up? That's what they have to wait for. Can't just do it now. You know, not immediately. Yeah, I know why not, because things could change for the worse for that person. And it's a very sensitive topic when it comes to voters. They're going to, if something happened that made ufology look stupid, which we always shoot ourselves in the foot with something, and this person came out and said, you know, I want to come out on, you know, I want to get to the truth, to the bottom of ufology, and then something stupid happened, you know, it'll make them look stupid. I know it's very rare, but it's a chance I don't think any of them should take right now.
Well, let me ask you this, because you saw the Phoenix Lights.
No, I didn't see them.
Okay, well, you've covered it enough. You lived in Phoenix, so why didn't you see them? Why are you one of the 7 people in the city that didn't then?
I was mad. Yeah, I know.
But looking at that case, do you think the Phoenix Lights were a big part of what killed Fife Symington's political career?
No, Fife Symington killed his career. When he came out on TV 3 months after the sighting happened or whatever it was, and said, it brings out one of his colleagues in an alien costume, and he goes, I think you guys take this topic a little too seriously, and the guy takes off the mask, and, oh, it's one of his friends. That was great. It made everybody mad. That's what killed him. That's what really killed him. You know, about 20 to 50,000 votes were just gone overnight for that guy. Plus, he got caught in lies years later. I mean, that guy's a mess. He killed him. He killed his own career.
No, I understand that. I understand that it takes more than that. But, I mean, the fact that 15 years later, he came out saying, I actually did see them.
He didn't. He lied about it. I did 2 shows on how he lied about it. Bill Burns and I discussed it on his show, how he lied as 3 different stories that night when he says he saw it. The times don't match up. It's a whole discussion we need to have. But he is just not credible. And he was good as our governor or whatever he was. But at the end there, it fell apart. His credibility fell apart. And I don't know what else you want from me out of that question. I thought I gave the answer. Come on, next person.
Holy cow, you're on fire tonight, Giordano. On fire tonight. Somebody
I don't know what else
I
could say.
We're going to have to call you Snickers.
With no nuts.
Wow.
I just don't. I really don't even know what else to say about Fife Symington. So what? He came out 15 years later. His guilty conscience made him come out later. Go, I want to make things right. I want people to like me. All that guy cared about was being on TV, looking smart, and oh my God, my neighbors are banging on the walls for me to shut up. And that's what it is. That guy just wanted to get in the better graces of his community and say, I saw it. I know I did. And he didn't.
Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. UFOs, 2020 election, leading to whoever wins the Democratic nomination. Is it a topic heading into 2020?
You know, I think it'll probably come up. Somebody at one of these town halls is going to ask, right? Because there are enough people that believe in it that somebody's going to ask the question. But I think you're going to get a non-committal response of, you know, it's like everything else. Well, we need to look into that. But I don't, you know, I just don't think it's going to be a big deal. It fizzled with Hillary Clinton. When Bill Clinton tried to do his big, I'm going to find out the truth at Roswell, because he like full on committed. Bill Clinton, when he was president, he was like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this stuff. Right. And he was summarily shut down. and it went away. I mean, even Jimmy Carter's walking it back. Well, yeah, I saw something, but I don't know what it was. You know, it's not, I don't think we've reached a critical mass where it's just really going to make a difference. And you can tell who's the guy who's talking about it. Some fringe candidate who's not being taken seriously. None of the core 5 people that are probably going to end up, you know, really fighting it out are saying anything. They're not going to, because it's the chuckle factor. So I just don't see it going anymore.
So what if Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi, I think she's running, I'm the token Canadian here, so you got to bear with me, came out and said, or Elizabeth Warren, pardon me, came out and said the exact same thing, would it have clout?
It would, because it's one of the quote-unquote front runners. But again, you know, there's a lot of dissension in the Democratic Party over who the front runners really are, right? Sure, if Bernie Sanders comes out and says, yeah, you know, let's go take a look at this stuff, figure it out, it's going to carry a lot more weight. But again, it's not the core agenda that Bernie Sanders has. Bernie Sanders really wants to talk about, you know, free education and universal health care. Elizabeth Warren, she wants to talk about, you know, changing our taxing structure, right? Biden, you know, he's really been non-committal and only within the last couple of days officially announced that he's going to run. And he's got a lot of other stuff that he's going to have to deal with because of the fringes in the Democratic Party, you know, and a lot of the other people that are running, including Kamala Harris from here in California, you know, they have loftier agendas than UFOs. They want to talk universal health care. They want to talk about corporate taxation. They want to talk about immigration. They want to talk about these things that poll well. They're all going to talk about what the different polls say are the top 5 or 10 different things that people want to know. And they want to know, they don't want to know about UFOs. That's not in the top 10. So I doubt you'll see it. Mm-hmm. Remember, at least in America, right, over the last, 10 years, right, a lot of what our politicians who are running for office, especially president, what they're going after is what polls well. That a lot of our national conversation is driven by polling. It's not driven by the citizen who really, Mr. Smith goes to Washington style, wants to actually change things or find the truth about stuff or wants to make a genuine difference. It's about what the polls say. And as far as Harry Reid, you know what? He's really good buddies with Bob Bigelow, and Bigelow stands to make a expletive inserted ton of money by having those programs funded by the DOD, because Bigelow's one of those guys that seems to get the DOD contract for weird stuff. So, Harry Reid is probably trying to help his friend. And that hurts his credibility. If he really was that passionate, where was he 10 years ago?
Well, I think that's a big one. And I asked George Knapp that because in a similar circumstance, we had the same thing happen up here in Canada with Paul Hellyer. In 1967, there were a couple of major UFO events. Stefan Michalak in the province of Manitoba, where he was literally burnt on his chest by a UFO. Right after the Liberal government back then was ousted from power, like 3 months later, I believe it was October 3rd, 1967, that Shag Harbor happened. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, Paul Hellyer was saying while he was in office, he knew nothing as defense minister about the UFO phenomena. Grant Cameron believes him. Other people believe him. Maybe it's just me. I don't. How could you not know?
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
I'll tell you this. I can believe that he wasn't completely read in. Because just because you're the defense minister or you're the Department of Defense cabinet member doesn't mean you know everything, right? There's a lot of things that go on, down lower in the hierarchy that you have no idea that's going on, right? I believe that may be true, but I also believe that things like that, there's a tendency in the military and in government, there's a rumor mill. You know, there are people who are information brokers. Almost their entire actual job is to route information around, right? So I can't believe that he never heard anything, but I can believe that he didn't know if there were programs. That I can believe. But again, you know, it's like if he had such an abiding interest in the topic in the 60s when this stuff was happening, or when we had an F-86 that collided with a UFO, I think it was over Lake Superior, right? And we run out there, and you guys run out there. The U.S. Coast Guard, I think it was at the time, and the Canadian Navy or Canadian Coast Guard, they're standing head-to-head looking for this wreckage in Superior. You know, where was Hellier then? It's great that all these people have an interest, but where were they then? They were nowhere.
And I think that's a big one, like with Harry Reid, as you were saying. So we got about 2.5 minutes to go. William, I'll get your opinion on this to close it out. Harry Reid, when he was in power, was not saying a darn thing about UFOs. And now we hear he made multiple trips to Area 51, jokingly saying, I never saw any little green men running around. He knew about Bob Lazar. He knew a lot about what was going on in his home state.
Yeah, and I don't know if I believe him or not. I mean, like you said, when he was in power, he really wasn't addressing the issue. And not until recently is he talking about UFOs. I don't know, because I firmly believe there's a lot of, you can be a minister of defense, you can be a president, you can be a higher ranked government official, and you're not privy to information about UFOs that maybe your government has.
Absolutely.
Part of that would be because, like, the leader of a country has a lot on his plate. UFOs are pretty esoteric. It's not really important to the running of the country, so they may not ask. Or it may not be accessible to a civilian individual who is voted in office. The military may have a hold of the secret stuff. Yeah,
but hold on a second. We got about 90 seconds left, and we could continue this conversation after the break. But when you look at it, Harry Reid was the one who set up the ATIP program. So he was in the know, because he's the one who got the money for it.
He gave $22 million to Bigelow, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's documented, and that was going towards UFO research. So it's not even, a secret.
That was a secret back then.
Yeah, it was classified then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my point was that Reid may have not had access to the actual data.
Oh, I doubt
which is a little different.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
I doubt he did.
Yeah.
It's compartmentalized.
Gentlemen, you hold on. We got 30 minutes to go here on Spaced Out Radio, and we're going to continue the SOR Paranormal Roundtable as we come back. We're going to be joined by our crew tonight. From Paranoia Magazine, Mr. Olav Phillips, Mr. William Pullin, UFO researcher and scientist out of the grand state of Texas. GUFON Radio's Rich Giordano. You could tell he's getting ready to put his wrestling mask on. And the pride of Washington State from Forest Moon Paranormal, Eric Cooper and his beard. More SOR Roundtable right after this.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paranormal in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on the mighty SOR. Spaced Out Radio finishes up the week. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair, and it's the SOR Paranormal Roundtable tonight. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed portions of this show and you want to check them on out and others, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. All of our archives are free for you. GUFON Radio's Rich Giordano, William Pullin, UFO researcher and scientist from S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal, Eric Cooper, Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. That is the panel for this month's SOR Paranormal Roundtable. And gentlemen, right before the break, we were talking about what is really known in Washington, D.C. when it comes to UFOs. We were talking about Harry Reid and how much he really knew about this, William, because while he was in power, we do know, thanks to the December 16th, 2017 New York Times Politico and Washington Post article, that he helped secure and procure $22 million in UFO research that created the ATIP program that was eventually run by Luis Elizondo, who's now part of the To the Stars Academy. Yet now, Harry Reid can't shut up about UFOs publicly. Is this an insult to his constituents and the people of the United States? Because now that he's no longer an elected official, he's like a barking poodle trying to get attention.
I could see his constituents seen it that way. I always keep in mind that he has no election to lose. He isn't already in office anymore, so he can afford to be more vocal about something he didn't talk about before. So, and if I was one of his constituents, I certainly would be troubled by it. I don't know if I would be thoroughly upset about it, but I would be troubled by it. And going back to the acquisition of the funding, he may have been aware of a scenario, an estimate of the situation, to use a military term, as to what may have been reported or may have needed to be investigated. But I don't know to what extent he actually knew about the data, what was being reported, the actual specific data in the sightings. I don't know how much he would know, because that may have been beyond his ability to gain access to. But it'll be interesting what that scenario, as we move forward in the election process, it'll be interesting how that scenario influences how the candidates or how much they're willing to talk. And I'll go back to the John Podesta thing. I can't recall a major candidate that talked about UFOs that wasn't connected with Podesta. I mean, Podesta worked with Clinton. Clinton spoke about UFOs. Hillary Clinton was being assisted by Podesta. She spoke about UFOs. And Trump was talking about the Space Force, but he didn't talk about a UFO angle specifically. He just talked about the establishment of another military branch. So it'd be interesting to see if any of the top, say the top 5 candidates, is willing to talk about UFOs per se. Another thing would be, would they risk talking about UFOs and getting made fun of by Trump? Because Trump himself didn't really talk about UFOs. He just talked about the Space Force. So maybe that's compared apples and oranges, but it'd be interesting to see what transpires.
Olav Phillips, do you think the media will have the gall to ask the UFO question, considering what they didn't know in 2016, they sure have been reporting on now?
No. I don't think they will. I think that they'll stick to the polling stuff. And I think that the question will inevitably come up, but I think it'll come up in a town hall from a person. I don't think it's going to come up from any organized media.
Yeah.
They may cover it, right? But, this is not on their coverage of it while we sit around and say, oh, wow, they covered it. It was in the New York Times. Yeah, and so is a lot of other stuff. This is not front page news. And that's when you get into the election cycle and the primary cycle first, you've got, probably 10 people who are just going to go after each other ad nauseum for decisions they made a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They're going to go after each other to try to, they're going to focus on placating the electorate that they're after. Because like every other party, the Democratic Party is heavily, fractured. So, they're going to go after whichever faction of the Democratic Party they think will get them elected. So they're going to focus on the big stuff. They're not going to focus on the little stuff, meaning UFOs, which is kind of a tertiary topic. But I mean, the New York Times, it'll have an article about somebody who lost a dog. Just because the UFO thing is in it doesn't mean that it's front page news. And again, Hillary Clinton talked about it, where she, it didn't benefit her, and it didn't detract from her, I don't think, but it didn't help her. And I think they're probably all looking at that going, I think if it's asked, you'll get a lot of non-committal responses. That's what I think.
Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio. Does it become a question that the media will actually pose in 2020?
No. Didn't we say that earlier? That I don't think it'll be a question.
No, we didn't. We were talking about, the candidates make it an issue.
Oh,
now we're talking about the media.
And then I thought I said, well, I don't think they'd make it a hot point.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Let me tell you something. You shut your mouth, brother. I don't know. I don't know if it would. That's a good boy. I'm so sorry.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
I don't think that the figure 4 leg lock of all questions would be asked during 2020. I really doubt that it will be brought up. I think it'll be brought up. If it is brought up, all right, you want to play devil's advocate, let's do it. Then I think it'll be brought up by a citizen, not by the media. Or they'll let a citizen ask it so they can cover their butt. Oh, we have a question from a citizen. Do you think you're going to ever go into the UFOs?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that in a debate, right? Because they take questions from the debate.
Yeah,
and what you would get is you'd get the classic non-committal media response, right? Whoever's picking the questions will allow the question through, but they won't ask it themselves.
Right.
But they'll be like, well, maybe they go home and they watch X-Files and they're like, I'm actually interested in this. I'm going to let it go through. That's the best you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely agree. It's going to be a town hall. Okay, Billy Bob is over here, and he's got a question about UFOs, and that's
I got abducted. Yeah, I got abducted by aliens. What do you think about that?
Right.
Yeah. Does the White House have any information about being probed by aliens?
Just kill it.
That's how
Right.
that's how it's going to go through.
That's how it's going to go through.
And yeah, but,
that's how you do it, brother.
Well,
we've entered the danger zone, Dave.
Well, that's why Giordano has slipped on his Lucha Libre mask.
Oh, yeah. I sleep with it on, brother. I take a shower with it on.
Gentlemen, I'm going to go the opposite way. I do believe that the media brings it up. I don't think it will be a very popular question. I don't think it'll make it to the mainstream television debates or anything along those lines.
Oh, it might. It might. If they allow questions from the audience, because some of the debates, they actually take questions from the audience. If they do, you may see it. I just don't think it's going to go anywhere. But then again, I think disclosure is a joke, so, I'm not.
Oh, you're so negative. You're so negative.
About disclosure? About disclosure? Yes, I am. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk about disclosure next, as we got about 14 minutes left on the show.
No. Here we go.
Well, just in regards to it, let's look at it in a different way here, gentlemen. All right. With disclosure, there are so many different ways this can go. But we also know, or at least we assume, I shouldn't say we know, we assume that the reason why they're going to try and control the narrative on it, if it gets anywhere, is because there may be secrets that they are hiding, whether it's Roswell, Kecksburg, Area 51, Wright-Patterson, Dugway, Dulce, you never know. So when you look at this, what do you see the narrative being? Considering there's a lot of secrets potentially that have to stay probably covered up for what they would call national security reasons. Eric.
TikTok.
Yeah.
It's a big question.
Disclosure's not going to happen. It would have happened 1 to 2 years ago.
Right.
It's not going to happen. It should have happened in 52 with the White House flyover with radar return. That was disclosure. It's not going to happen, Dave.
Never.
It was.
It won't. Imagine
they're not going to have someone. They're not going to have Sandra, whatever her name is, at the White House, up in front of everybody. President Trump said there's UFOs and they're real. That's not going to happen.
So negative.
But that's already happened. We know UFOs are real now, right? They've announced it. The thing is, if they're going to bring disclosure, and I was talking about it tonight, I want all of it. I want to know where they're living. I want to know what they're doing. You'll never get it, right? I want to know if they're in the moon, in the Earth. I want to know if they're in the ice, in Antarctica. Is there bigger Earth? No, you're right. It'll never happen. It's too much information, too much stuff. As a collective, there would be too many lies, too many things.
Lies.
Everything would fall.
Well, and you're going to have maybe not mass panic. I'm not going to go the mass panic route. I'm going to go the very mad. I won't say the other word, but you're going to have a lot of ticked off people because they've been lied to for 50 plus years by the government. Look at the abductees for one. There's a lot of them. Look at, the UFO community, the paranormal and general community. The paranormal and general community is going to go, oh, okay, well, so if UFOs are real, what about Bigfoot? What have you been lying to us about Bigfoot?
That's right.
I mean, you know how widestream it's going to go with the anger? If they come out and say, yep.
Clinton tried to do it, right? He actually, when he was president, he said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this Roswell thing. So he dispatches his minions to go figure it out. And they're told by the Air Force, nothing's going on. Roswell isn't real. And what we do know, you don't need to know. Because the thing you have to understand about the military is that, sure, there are security clearances. You can have restricted, classified, top secret, colors, keywords. There's an infinite number of combinations of how that works. But a very sage person once told me, at the end of the day, all those words, they don't mean anything because they're applied to programs. At the end of the day, do you need to know? That's really the basis of all classification is, do you need to know? And in 99.9% of the circumstances, you don't need to know. Let's say that you're a soldier, you're a private in the Army. A UFO crashes, right? They wake you up in the middle of the night in your barracks and they say, you've got to go do something. You don't ask what you're going to go do. They tell you you're going to get in a truck, you're going to drive out into a field, and you're going to pick up metal. You don't ask what the metal is. They don't tell you what the metal is. They just say pick it up, and that's what you do. Because if you don't, they send you to prison. So you don't ask questions. You don't want to know. Because the more you know, the more you're at risk. Right? Mm-hmm. So, again, Clinton tried. Clinton was shut down. You know, under Obama, I think Obama probably tried. You know, he got as far as admitting that Area 51 was real. Okay, well, newsflash on that one. But, you know, what are you disclosing? What is a UFO? It's an unidentified flying object. That doesn't imply that it's alien. It just implies that it's unidentified.
Exactly, yeah.
I've known guys on subs that got crazy. You know, they're out in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere, right, going to wherever their patrol area is. They got crazy returns on the sonar. Something was traveling at high speed, and a good sonar operator can tell you anything you want to know about what he's hearing, right? They've got a track. Yep. It's doing something crazy. They've got, you know, no idea what this thing is. It's big, and he doesn't want to know what it is. You know, it's like, I don't know what it was. It was there. It was a whale.
You talking about the USO that they had returned that was so big they got it in like 1,000-mile radius?
That was one of the stories that I read. But I mean, I've spoken to people over the years where they would have transients that would just appear and disappear. And, you know, the transients were always very weird, but you don't know what it is, right? It could be a flock of fish, you know, a school of fish, because of the way the fish are, they will return a sonar track. But it's like, you know, what are we talking about? I mean, what are you disclosing exactly? I mean, we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to talk about what's his name? The guy in the 90s. He was on Sightings. Bob, was it?
Bob Lazar?
Eckler? No. His name will come to me, but
Bigelow?
You know, he got a whole thing with Cosmic Journey and Bobby Ray Inman, and he had him on. Bobby Ray Inman is an admiral, former admiral in the Navy. He was head of the CIA for a while, and he, you know, this whole thing where they were going to have a traveling road show with alien bodies and all this other crap, and it was called Cosmic Journey. You know, that was probably the closest we ever got. But that was canned as well. I mean, you're never going to get anything. Ever. There's nothing to give you. You don't need to know.
William, your final word.
There is no motivation for the government or the military to disclose what they may know or may have. That's my position. I just don't think there's any motivation to disclose whatever they have, whatever disclosure, whatever definition you want to apply to. There's no motivation for the government and military to let any of us know what they have or what they don't have. There just isn't, and there's no way for the public to force the issue. And if Steve Bassett is listening, he's not going to be very happy about that, but I just don't think there's any motivation, and there's no way for the public to force the issue, unless some event happened that did force it, something that couldn't be denied. I mean, if you had a crash of UFO in a metropolitan area, say L.A. or Denver or New York, there's no way to cover it up. Okay, that's going to force the issue. That's going to force the government to address it in a way that they wouldn't have to if it was able to be kept under wraps. Because of some of these UFO crashes that have been reported, like Exberg, Roswell, Shag Harbor, these are in relatively non-urban settings, especially back then. So it's a lot easier to cover up, to control the media, to cover up the narrative, for them to control the situation. But we've yet to have an event that happened in a highly populated metropolitan area. They couldn't be covered up. So we're still stuck with the scenario we have now. And I just don't think anything will happen to change it. Nothing that we can do can change it.
And on that note, gentlemen, I have to shut things down. I want to say a big thank you for joining us on the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, which happens the final Friday of the month. Our next one will be Friday, May 30th. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. So you guys all make sure you are there as well. I want to say a big thank you to William Pullin, UFO researcher, scientist, coming on in, helping us out on the panel, along with Paranoia Magazine's Olav Phillips. We have Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio, and last but not least, the man with the beard, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal and S4. What a pleasure to have you guys on the show tonight. Thank you so much for doing this. Coming up this weekend, Tessa Nicole Thomas is back with Spaced Out Weekend, Saturday, Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. So make sure you check it on out, as we are here 7 days a week for you. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in this week at home, in your cars, at work, in one of our chat rooms on Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you for being there this week for us, doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. I'll talk to you on Monday. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.